Teddy's turbine side. But I have here, I'm going to be running the exhaust manifolds. I have some nice flanges here. And what I'm going to be doing is ordering these, measuring roughly at 2.5 inches. And this is 3 inches of pipework right here. So these flanges will be coming off 2 inches corner.
YouTube video out now, man. Like, comment, subscribe.
Working on the Escalade, and we had a front wheel bearing blowout, and this thing locked up bad to the point where the whole front tire was wobbling around real bad, and backing into the driveway, it literally just locked up the tire and was dragging it down. This is about the furthest I can get in the driveway. But our big challenge right now is removing the front hub assembly with the bearing in there, and the hardware is rusty. This particular year of vehicles, which is notorious for a lot of rust products, and it's just components and parts rusting out, just drastic and insane. But anyway, we managed to remove the top bolt out, securing the wheel bearing. And this is an M14 by 2. The other two, they're in there. I've tried all sorts of things. I've tried bolt extractors, just pretty much everything, pipe wrenches, all of that stuff. These things are rusted in there so bad, it's just crazy. I can't get my Sawzall in there. The angle grinders too big to actually fit in there and get a good cut to cut the head off. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do something somewhat unsafe to shave off the other two heads. So my plan is to cut the other two remaining heads off, and then I can pound them out and then just remove the studs, even if I have to use my stud remover or something else. I got plenty of other stud removers that should be able to remove those out once we get that off. So that is the game plan. But the unsafe task that I'm getting ready to perform is use a cutoff wheel without a guard. So definitely I have some cut resistant gloves, but these things this will cut through that in a heartbeat. But they do have a little Kevlar in there. But anyways, it's a little safe, better than, I would say, maybe a typical leather glove. I'm going to use this, and once I put this on and use my angle grinder, I should be able to get access in there pretty good to chop these heads off. Especially on this side, this part of the housing for the brake caliper was blocking pretty good, but with this I can still try to squeeze down in this area and shave the head off, even if I have to use a smaller wheel, cutoff wheel, to get up in that corner. But crazy, this is ridiculous. But let's go ahead and see if I can get this knocked out. Well, this was a success. I sliced off the head of the first bolt, and this thing is extremely rusty. It's just bad. The head of this thing rusted off terribly, and I mean horrible. But either way, we got the first one sliced off in a pretty difficult area. I use an adapter, a not so safe adapter that is designed to bolt onto my angle grinder, and I was able to get in between this tight squeeze without cutting off this bracket or slicing into it, and just slice right through here, this opening, and cut the head off. So this was the more difficult side right here, and right over here this is a lot more open. So we're going to go ahead and slice that head off, and then try to tap out, get a maul, and beat out this whole front bearing assembly. Well, I've had success with slicing the heads off, and let's see if we can zoom in there. You can actually see a gap. I tapped it a couple times with a maul, and it's coming free. So the game plan is to knock this whole assembly out, and then use my stud extractors and just remove the other studs. So hopefully with the rusty head clamping force release, I should be able to remove the studs without too much of an issue. You see the gap is increasing. It's coming out. So I'll just keep tapping, get a prop bar, stick it under this lower corner, and just kind of like wedge it back and forth just to get this to come on out. Success with getting it off. Roller bearings just fell out once I tapped this off. But at least we got this thing off the vehicle. I have a new one that should be arriving within the next couple of hours. And we can clean this up. Try to remove these studs first, clean it up, and prep this for installation for the new part. But yes, this was a pain, and this thing definitely had its good days, and it was shot. It was very hard, so I heated it up a little bit with a torch, sprayed a little penetrant fluid in there, and of course tapped this stud extractor out. And as you can see, this bad boy is coming out. One more to go. And we have success. I was determined to get this thing out of here, and luckily we got it out without breaking off any of the studs. It was a pain in the ass, do not get me wrong. Had to slice off the heads of these two, heat it up pretty hot with a little bit of the torch, and use some penetrant oil, and managed to succeed at getting the two remaining bolts slash studs out. These stud removers, they definitely come in handy with jobs like this. These things were definitely in there. So now I have to get some M14x2 hardware, replacement hardware to put in here. I'll clean all of this up, chase the threads with a tap, and get the new hardware and prep for the new installation part. I didn't check the weather forecast today, but we're expecting rain for the most part of the day. It's not a hard rain, but it's a consistent 69 to 77% chance all the way up until like 4 o'clock. I'm going to see what I can do, even though it's drizzling. I've worked in a lot worse conditions than this before. We're going to go ahead, remove the dry shaft, actually the axle, the front axle, the CV boot got destroyed due to the fact that the wheel bearing failed. I bought a replacement axle and a new wheel bearing assembly. So let's go ahead and get this out, clean up the threads inside each one of the holes, run a tap through that, and make preparation, start to install a new axle and put the new wheel bearing on, and start cleaning up some of the residual grease from the CV that splattered all over the brake caliper. Well, I made some progress, and the rain is coming down. I am drenched, soaking wet. My tools and everything is full of water. I swapped out the ABS sensor, swapped out the new hub. I am soaked. But yeah, we got the new wheel bearing on. I swapped out the ABS sensor and new axle. So we're good for the most part. I just have to clean everything up. Well, pretty much actually put the rotor on and the hardware. That's the last thing I'm waiting on, and that'll be that. I can go ahead and put the rotor back on and the brake caliper and take it for a test drive. Of course, got to tighten up the axle nut, and that'll be it. But this is a mess. I built up a tolerance as a teenager working out in the rain or the snow and on a gravel driveway. So you have to be built for this, to be out here in this mess doing this. And as I stated, I am drenched, soaked, and wet. Of course, I should have had rain gear on, which I do have a complete rain suit. But once I got started, I just stayed with it. I'm going to go ahead, run up the store, run up the street, see if they have my hardware. Well, I'll call first, make sure they had the parts in. Or we'll just have to wait until Amazon drop off the other one. So I ordered bolts from 2 different sources, and hopefully one of them have it available so I can finish this, and that'll be a wrap. Well, the rain is lifted, the sun has come back out, and the sky is clear. We have our new hardware that was just dropped off, and we're going to go ahead and finish this task and knock this out. Put the new bolts in, secure the hub, tighten down the axle nut, put the caliper and rotor back on, take it for a test drive after we put the wheel on, and that should be good to go. The head on my original bolts was pretty small, and these things did not give much surface area, and they just mushroomed out pretty bad. These were M14 by 2, 50 millimeter. I decided to go with a M14 by two 60 millimeter. These are just a little bit longer. That'll allow the bolt to completely go through the whole hub assembly itself. It was easily a lot of extra room on the backside, which allowed water to get in also and kind of rust the holes up also. Therefore, I tapped out each one of the holes, the threads in the holes, and that made everything a lot better.